Hello everyone, and welcome. I'm Solomon Bright, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. We're about to embark on a journey, a really important one, into the very heart of what makes our families tick, or sometimes what makes them falter. Today we're uncovering the hidden enemies that can quietly destroy unity and strength in families. These aren't always loud, dramatic invaders. Often they are subtle, creeping in unnoticed until the foundations of our closest bonds begin to shake. We're going to shine a light into those shadowed corners, the places where misunderstanding and hurt can take root. You know, our families are meant to be our safe havens, our first schools of love, our most steadfast support systems. But what happens when that sanctuary is threatened? What happens when the very people we're supposed to feel closest to feel distant or worse, like sources of pain? It's a reality for too many, and it's something we have the power to change. The first step, the most crucial one, is understanding. It's about recognizing these destructive patterns, not to place blame, but to empower ourselves and each other to heal and to build. That's why our conversation today is so vital. We're going to explore these common yet often unacknowledged disruptors of peace. By learning to identify these behaviors, these enemies of unity, we equip ourselves with the knowledge to dismantle them. We can then begin the beautiful, sometimes challenging, but ultimately rewarding work of fostering stronger, more resilient, and more loving family connections. It's about creating a home where everyone feels seen, heard, and cherished. So let's get started, shall we? Let's learn how to protect and nurture the precious gift of family. First on our list, and it's a big one, is selfishness. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Isn't a little self-care important? And yes, absolutely, taking care of your own needs is vital. But we're talking about something different here. We're talking about a persistent pattern where one's own desires, one's own agenda, consistently trumps the needs and well-being of the family unit as a whole. It's that me first, me-only mindset that can begin to create little cracks in the foundation of your family. Think about it. When every decision, every conversation, every allocation of resources is skewed towards one person's benefit, what happens to everyone else? They start to feel unseen, unheard, and undervalued. This isn't always about grand, dramatic gestures of selfishness. Often it's in the small, everyday choices. It's the parent who consistently prioritizes their hobbies over family time, the sibling who always takes the biggest piece without considering others, or the partner who makes significant decisions without consultation, assuming their needs are paramount. Over time, this constant prioritization of self can breed a deep, simmering resentment. Other family members might start to withdraw, feeling like their contributions don't matter, or they might become resentful, leading to arguments and a breakdown in that beautiful, essential feeling of we're all in this together. Unity simply cannot thrive where selfishness reigns. Next, we have to talk about something that can feel like carrying a heavy, invisible weight, and that's unforgiveness. Oh, this is a tough one, isn't it? Because when we've been hurt, truly hurt by someone we love, the idea of letting go of that pain, of that anger, can feel almost impossible, like we're condoning the wrong. But what I've come to understand, and what I want to share with you, is that unforgiveness often hurts the person holding on to it far more than the person who caused the offense. Within a family, holding on to grudges, replaying past wrongs over and over in your mind, it's like pouring a slow-acting poison into the well of your relationships. When we refuse to forgive, or even to begin the process of forgiveness, we essentially build a wall. A wall between ourselves and the person who hurt us, but also a wall that can block out love, understanding, and healing for the entire family. Trust, which is so fundamental to any healthy relationship, begins to erode. How can you truly connect? How can you be vulnerable and open if you're constantly reliving a past injury? It prevents genuine reconciliation, keeps old wounds festering, and stops the family from moving forward together. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about freeing yourself and allowing the possibility of a renewed connection. Let's move on to another subtle yet deeply damaging enemy, the superiority complex. This is when a family member, consciously or unconsciously, operates from a belief that they are inherently better, smarter, more capable, or more righteous than others in the family. It's an attitude that can manifest in so many ways. Perhaps it's constant criticism disguised as helpful advice, or a condescending tone, or a dismissive attitude towards other people's opinions and feelings. It's that air of "I know best," and it can be incredibly alienating for everyone else involved. Imagine living in an environment where you constantly feel judged or looked down upon by someone who's supposed to be your equal, your kin. This creates such a toxic dynamic. When one person positions themselves on a pedestal, it automatically places others in a lower, inferior position. This isn't a recipe for unity, it's a recipe for resentment, insecurity, and emotional distance. Family members might become hesitant to share their thoughts or achievements for fear of being belittled. They might start to feel inadequate or less than, which can crush self-esteem. True family connection thrives on mutual respect and the understanding that everyone has inherent value, with their unique strengths and weaknesses. A superiority complex suffocates that very idea, making genuine, heartfelt connection almost impossible to sustain. Now let's talk about pride. Not the good kind of pride, like feeling proud of an accomplishment or proud of your children. We're talking about that stubborn, unyielding pride that gets in the way of connection. The kind that whispers, "You're right, they're wrong, and you don't need to apologize or back down." This kind of pride is a formidable enemy of family unity, because it acts like a massive wall, preventing the flow of understanding and forgiveness that is so essential for resolving conflicts. When pride takes hold, admitting fault becomes an insurmountable task. Saying "I'm sorry" feels like a defeat rather than a bridge to reconciliation. Think about those arguments, those disagreements that escalate, not because the issue itself is so monumental, but because no one is willing to concede a point, to listen, to humble themselves. Pride fuels defensiveness. It makes us dig our heels in even when we suspect deep down that we might share some of the blame. It hinders our ability to see things from another family member's perspective. Conflict is inevitable in any family, but pride turns everyday disagreements into prolonged battles. Breaks down communication, fosters bitterness, and prevents the healing that can only come when we are willing to set our egos aside for the greater good of the family relationship. Arrogance, my friends, is a close cousin to pride, but it often manifests in a way that shuts down communication even more profoundly. While pride might make you refuse to apologize, arrogance can make you believe you don't even need to listen. It's that sense of self-importance that leads someone to devalue the thoughts, feelings, and experiences of other family members. An arrogant person often dominates conversations, rarely asks questions about others, and is quick to dismiss differing viewpoints. They operate under the assumption that their perspective is the only one that truly matters, which, as you can imagine, is incredibly damaging to family dynamics. When family members feel that their contributions to conversations are consistently ignored or belittled, they eventually stop trying. Why would you share your heart, your concerns, or your joys with someone who clearly isn't interested, or who will likely respond with condescension? This leads to a profound alienation. Communication becomes one-sided, or worse, it ceases altogether on any meaningful level. Arrogance creates an environment where others feel invisible and unimportant. It erodes the very fabric of mutual respect and open dialogue that families need to navigate life's challenges and share its triumphs. It makes people feel small, and that is never a foundation for unity. Let's delve into resentment, an enemy that often works in the shadows, a slow burn that can gradually erode the strongest of family bonds. Resentment is born from unaddressed feelings of being wronged, slighted, or treated unfairly. It's that lingering bitterness that festers when hurts aren't acknowledged, apologies aren't offered, or amends aren't made. Unlike a sudden burst of anger that might clear the air, resentment simmers beneath the surface, coloring interactions and poisoning the atmosphere of the home. It's the unspoken grievance, the silent tally of injustices that one person keeps against another. This is so dangerous because often the person feeling resentful might not even express it directly. Instead, it can seep out in passive-aggressive comments, a cold shoulder, a lack of enthusiasm, or a general unwillingness to engage positively. The other family members might sense that something is wrong, but they may not understand what it is or why. This creates a confusing and uncomfortable tension. Resentment acts like a corrosive acid, slowly eating away at trust, affection, and the joy of being together. It prevents true intimacy because it keeps people guarded, holding on to past pains instead of embracing present connections and future possibilities. Bitterness. Just the word itself sounds heavy, doesn't it? Bitterness is what happens when resentment is left to curdle and harden. It's a deep, pervasive cynicism and negativity that stems from past hurts, disappointments, or betrayals that have never been healed. A bitter family member can cast a pall over every interaction, every celebration, every attempt at connection. Their worldview has become tainted by their pain, and they often project that pain onto others, seeing negativity even where it doesn't exist, or interpreting innocent actions through a lens of suspicion and hurt. It's like a constant low hum of unhappiness that affects everyone. This lingering anger and profound hurt can truly poison the well of family life. Interactions become strained, joy is diminished, and it becomes incredibly difficult to foster a loving, supportive environment. Bitterness can make a person quick to criticize, slow to forgive, and resistant to any attempts at reconciliation or positive change. It creates a cycle of negativity that can be incredibly hard to break. Other family members might start to avoid the bitter individual to protect their own emotional well-being, leading to further isolation and deepening the very wounds that caused the bitterness in the first place. It's a destructive force that can tear connections apart from the inside out. Now we turn to an enemy that is particularly insidious because it attacks the very foundation of all healthy relationships, trust. And that enemy is manipulation. Manipulation in a family context involves using deceit, emotional tactics, guilt-tripping, or other underhanded strategies to control or influence another family member for personal gain, or to get one's own way. It's about twisting situations, words, or emotions to serve one's own agenda, often without regard for the feelings or autonomy of the other person. This can be incredibly subtle at times, making it hard to pinpoint, but its effects are always damaging. When manipulation is present, honesty and transparency go out the window. Family members start to second-guess motives, question sincerity, and feel like they're constantly walking on eggshells, trying to anticipate the manipulator's next move. Trust is eroded, sometimes irreparably. How can you feel safe and secure with someone when you suspect their words or actions are not genuine but are instead designed to exploit your emotions or vulnerabilities? It creates an environment of suspicion and unease where open, authentic communication becomes impossible. Manipulation undermines the integrity of family relationships, replacing genuine connection with a power struggle built on deceit. Finally, we must address one of the most painful and devastating enemies of family unity: betrayal. Betrayal can take many forms. Infidelity in a marriage, breaking a deeply held confidence, severe financial dishonesty, abandonment, or any act that shatters the fundamental trust and loyalty expected within a family. It's a profound violation of the unspoken and sometimes spoken covenants that bind family members together. The emotional pain caused by betrayal is often intense, leaving deep, lasting scars that can take an enormous amount of time and effort to even begin to heal, if healing is possible at all. Acts of betrayal create a chasm of division. The person who has been betrayed often experiences a whirlwind of emotions, shock and anger, grief and confusion, and a deep sense of loss. It can make them question everything they thought they knew about the relationship and the person who betrayed them. Rebuilding trust after a significant betrayal is an incredibly difficult, sometimes insurmountable challenge. It requires sincere remorse, accountability from the person who committed the betrayal, and a tremendous willingness from the betrayed party to even consider forgiveness and reconciliation. Without these, betrayal can lead to permanent estrangement and a fractured family unit, a truly heartbreaking outcome. We've journeyed through some difficult territory today, haven't we? We've named these 9 enemies: selfishness, unforgiveness, superiority, pride, arrogance, resentment, bitterness, manipulation, and betrayal. Seeing them laid out like this can feel overwhelming, perhaps even a little discouraging if you recognize some of these patterns in your own family life. But my hope, my deepest intention, is not to leave you feeling burdened, but to leave you feeling empowered. Because knowledge, true understanding, is the first step towards transformation. Recognizing these dynamics is the key to unlocking a different future for your family. The truth is, no family is perfect. We all stumble. We all have moments where these enemies might try to creep in. The work of building and maintaining family unity is an ongoing process. It's a daily choice. It's about choosing connection over conflict, understanding over judgment, and love over fear. It requires courage to look honestly at ourselves and our family dynamics, and even more courage to initiate change, to have those hard conversations, to offer or ask for forgiveness. But oh, the reward! A family that feels like a true sanctuary is worth every effort. So let this be our takeaway, our guiding light as we move forward from this conversation. To build a strong, united family, we must recognize and confront these enemies, choosing selflessness, forgiveness, humility, and respect every day. It's in these conscious, consistent choices that we weave the fabric of a family that not only survives but thrives, a family where every member feels cherished, supported, and deeply connected. Thank you for joining me. Go forward and cultivate the love in your home.